Let's dive into our first natural language processing (NLP) task, sentiment analysis. What is it? Imagine reading a product review or a tweet and wanting to know if it's positive, negative, or neutral. Sentiment analysis helps us to classify these emotions in text, allowing us to gauge overall sentiments or feelings. It's a powerful tool, especially in areas like product feedback, social media analysis, and many more. Now let's take a real-world approach to understand sentiment analysis better with a couple of examples. For our first statement, the customer service was outstanding and they went above and beyond to ensure my satisfaction. As you might guess, this is a positive sentiment. On the flip side, consider this statement. The product stopped working after only 2 weeks, and the return process was a nightmare. Here, the sentiment is clearly negative. So, through sentiment analysis, we can automatically identify and classify these sentiments, making it easier for businesses and platforms to understand their users' feelings and feedback. To begin our journey into sentiment analysis using Transformers.js, we first need to import the necessary module. Here we are using the JavaScript module system to import the pipeline function directly from a CDN. Think of it as our gateway to the powerful functionalities that Transformers.js offers. Now that we have our pipeline function ready, it's time to set it up. By invoking the pipeline function with the sentiment analysis argument, we are essentially creating a pipeline tailored for sentiment analysis. Under the hood, this step fetches the relevant model, and if no specific model name is given, it will load a default one and caches it so subsequent uses are speedy. After importing our library and setting the pipeline up, you might notice we frequently mention the term pipeline. So what exactly is a pipeline? Think of it as a streamlined assembly line for processing data. In the world of natural language processing (NLP), there are many steps involved, from pre-processing the text to making predictions and finally post-processing the results. The pipeline simplifies all these steps into a single, cohesive process. By using a pipeline, we can easily input our raw data and receive processed meaningful results. It abstracts away any complexities, making our interaction with the library smoother and more efficient. With our sentiment analysis pipeline set up, we can now analyze text for sentiment. By calling our sentiment analysis function and passing in a text statement, we are asking Transformers.js to evaluate and classify the sentiment for that text. Upon processing, we receive a result like the one displayed. The label indicates the statement classification, in this case positive. The score is a confidence measure with values closer to 1 indicating higher confidence. Here, a score of approximately 0.99 signifies that the model is highly confident that that statement is positive. But what if we have multiple statements to analyze at once? Transformers.js is versatile enough to handle that too. Instead of a single statement, we can pass an array of text statements. The pipeline processes each of them and returns an array of results correspondingly. Here, for our two statements, we get two results. The first statement, I love Transformers, is identified as positive with high confidence. Meanwhile, the second statement, I hate delays, is labeled as negative. This feature makes batch processing efficient, especially when dealing with large set of statements. Transformers.js doesn't just restrict you to default models. It allows for greater customization. If you have a specific model in mind, you can easily specify its name when setting up the pipeline. Here, we are instructing the pipeline to use Zenova paired pace multilingual uncased sentiment model for sentiment analysis. By doing so, the specified model will be downloaded and used for our tasks. This feature offers flexibility, especially when you want to use models tailored for specific languages or tasks. Okay, now let's come to the implementation. So I will open the sentiment analysis page, which contains 5 subtasks that we will do today. Then I'll go to Visual Studio Code and I will open the corresponding web page. Okay, in order to implement the AI task, usually there are 3 steps that we want to do. The first step will be to import the Transformers.js library. To do so, we first create the script tag. Here we are using a script tag with type module. This is to allow us to be able to import a library. Then we do the actual import statement. We import the pipeline function from this CDN or from this URL. Now we can get this URL from the website. So if we go and open Transformers.js, if we go to installation, you will find that here we have this module statement. This is the latest version. I am one step before the latest version. Of course, let's go back to the page. Of course, this pipeline function, as explained, will allow us to put all the steps required to interact with the model using just one streamlined pipeline. Then, variables declared in a script of type module, they have a private scope. So in order to make the pipeline function available globally, we set it on the Windows pipeline properties. Okay, then let's go below to the initialize model function in the JavaScript section. So here is the initialize model function. First, we will define a variable. It's called sentiment analysis. It will contain the pipeline. Then we instantiate the pipeline object. Now notice that initialize model is async. This is because we are using the await keyword. The await keyword will make us wait until the pipeline is downloaded and cached, because pipeline is a lengthy operation and it takes time. Now once the model is downloading, the pipeline object will be returned and stored in this variable. We are specifying the AI task as sentiment analysis. Of course, we are not specifying a model, which means that the default model that does sentiment analysis will be downloaded and cached. Of course, the initialized model will be executed when the DOM content is loaded. Now, because this call to the pipeline take time, maybe it makes sense that all controls on the page be disabled, and after this method return below it, we can re-enable them. I think that's a better UI design, but in this course we only care about the JavaScript or the Transformers.js library, so I left that to reduce complexity. Of course, the pipeline will encapsulate the 3 steps that are usually needed to invoke an AI task. The first step is to encode the text, the second step is to invoke the model, and the third step is to decode the output. Okay, let's move to the next part. In the next part, we are getting the text field from the UI. If we go to the page here, this is the text field. I already put a default value. I love Transformers, but you can put whatever you need. This text box here is returned and stored in text field value. Okay, then we actually make the call to the sentiment analysis pipeline. We pass the text that we read from the UI. Now again, notice it is async method because it takes time and we are using the await function or keyword. Now the await keyword will make us wait until the model finishes and return the result and store the result in this variable. Now, as this take time, so maybe it is suitable to disable everything, including the mouse click on the page. Again, I don't care a lot about the web design. I am only interested in the Transformers.js code, so that's why I didn't do it. But I will show you in one of our pages, I think the Summarize page, we do that properly. It could have been done in all pages, but for simplicity, I left it out. Following that, I will display the return result. I will convert it to a string using JSON stringify, and I will output it to the output area. Actually, this is the output dev where we print the output. Let's now demo it. I initialized the input text to I love Transformers. If I do analyze, you can see that it is positive with 0.999 confidence. So it is very confident it is positive. Let me say I hate Transformers. You can see it is negative with a very high confidence. Okay, let's move to the other one, which have two statements, and I want to categorize or test at the same time. So I'll go back to Visual Studio Code. Let me now add the code. The first step, I am getting the two text fields, the one with I love Transformers and the one with I hate Transformers. Then I will call the sentiment analysis pipeline. I will pass an array of these strings. So I pass the strings as an array, and then here I will output the result. This is the result. I will convert it to string and output it in the output dev. In fact, let's go and test that. Analyze. You can see that I got an array of objects. The first statement is positive with high confidence. The second statement is negative with high confidence. Okay, so the next subtask, it will be to load a specific model. This is the name of the model that we will be loading. So if go back here, I will come back at the top here where we initialize the model. I will include another model. So I included the model which I called reviewer. The task is sentiment analysis, and here we pass the name of the model. And we are saving it in the reviewer variable. In fact, let me copy this name of this model, and I'll show you where I can get it from. So if you go back to the web browser, if you go to the Transformers, go to the pipeline API, at the bottom here, you have a list of tasks that are available in each domain. One of them is sentiment analysis. Yes, it is also called text classification. So text classification or sentiment analysis. If you go to the models, you will find a list of the available models. If we look at this first one is our model. This model is trained to return reviews from 1 to 5. So it's not positive, negative, it returns reviews. Let's go and complete the implementation. So I'll go now to the JavaScript handler function. I will add the statement to read the review text from the UI. Then I will invoke the reviewer, and it's no different. We will just invoke the reviewer and give it the field. It's a wait, so it will take some time. When the result is back, it will be stored in this variable. And then here you can see that I output the result to the output dev. Let's test that. So here is our third one. So review. You can see that this statement was reviewed as 5 stars with a confidence of 0.833. It's not 0.99 as above, but it is still very high confidence. Okay, the next subtask will be to return the top 5 classes. So you can get all the classes and the confidence in each of them. Let me show you what I mean. If I go back to Visual Studio Code, let me now add this code. So we get the text from the input text. We call the reviewer, we pass that text. And we also, as you can see here, pass a JavaScript object with a key called top k set to 5. This means that return the top 5 classes that are used, and then we store that in the result and output it. Let's come and test it. Okay, as you can see, it's saying that this statement, which is in French, it is 5 stars with this confidence. It is 4 stars with lower confidences and so on. So there are 4 or 5 confidences. It returned all of them. Let's now go to the last one. Here we will load another model, toxic. It will specify or classify this word, and we will ask it to return all the possible classes. So I'll go back to Visual Studio Code. At the top in the initialize model, I will load this pipeline. It is text classification. It is the same name, sentiment analysis or text classification is the same. And this is the name of the model. We can get it from the same place where I showed you earlier. Now I'll go down to the toxic review. And here I am getting the input from the input text. Then I'm calling the pipeline. I pass it the text and I pass it an object. And here I am specifying a key in the object to say top k null. This means return everything. When this returns, it will be stored in the result and will be outputted here. Let's demo it. As you can see, this has been classified into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 classes. 0.95 that it is a toxic because I hate you, but it can be insult or something else. So by this we have implemented the sentiment analysis or the text classification. It has 2 names. Now in my case, because I used this web browser before, you didn't notice that there is a delay in downloading the model. But in your case, for the first time you ever try any model, it can take up to 1 minute to download the model and cache it. Subsequent calls will be fast because the model is cached locally.